Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 147. I am Janice Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
All right, so tonight we have another case being presented by Jameson, so take it away, sir.
All right,
let's
go. On January 14th, 1986, the Honolulu Police Department received a report from parents stating that their daughter was missing.
All right, so this is our first Hawaiian case. You should have let in with that, sir.
Ooh.
Well, I didn't want to give anything away. I wanted you guys to be surprised.
I've only ever spent 10 hours in Honolulu on a flight over, like when you have like a layover, but it was in the mid 90s, so we could actually leave the airport for a little while and come back, and that was the only time I've ever been to Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days.
Yeah, it was a good time, not gonna lie.
Well, you just heard the news that we don't have to take our shoes off at the airport anymore?
Until someone figures out some new stupid thing, but we'll see how that goes. It is funny to think that it's been almost 25 years since that one guy tried to sneak something in the soles of his shoes.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
Nuts.
Yeah, but that's why we had to take them off, if anyone didn't know that.
I actually didn't know that, but that's because I never flew on a plane pre 9/11.
Oh, so
showing my age.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But so what happens, like those sensors that you walk through, they don't go all the way to the floor. So this guy figured out that he could put things in the soles of his shoes and shuffle in just enough so that the sensors didn't pick them up. And
I handed it to him. Pretty clever.
And part of what he also brought in was the liquids that he was using in a bomb that he constructed on the plane. He mixed it on the plane. So he had two different vials or containers with liquids in them that he mixed on the plane. And on their own, they're nothing, right? So, and that's why the amount of liquid you could enter the plane with was reduced so much.
This guy created a whole fucking industry of travel-sized products.
Yes.
What an asshole.
Yeah, all because of him. Yeah, exactly.
What an asshole.
And I could probably look up his name, too, because at the time I was in college. And sorry, listener, we're derailing Jameson's Hawaiian episode here. But at the time, we had a website that we were doing. Because this is before memes were a thing, right? We were talking 2001, 2002 in that ballpark. And at the time, they called it culture jamming, when you made an image that you shared that, made fun of something within pop culture or whatever. And so we had a website, and we called it badtasteadvertising.com was the website, which is defunct now. And we had so much fun taking stupid shit that was happening in the world and turning them into fake advertisements. And the one for him, and I remember his name now. It said, Reebok wants you to know that Richard Reed wears Nike or whatever it was. And it was so funny.
It's wicked funny. Iconic.
Anyway, so Jameson, why don't you take us back to Honolulu?
I think we have a case somewhere here. I'm not sure though.
Sorry, man. Sorry to our listeners too. That was a tangent. So
it's what we do.
Yes,
it's what they're here for.
So the girl's name was Regina Scatamoto, and she was 17.
This is the girl who went missing that her parents... Okay, gotcha.
Correct. Her parents, who were frantic, explained that the last time they saw her was a morning that she had left for school, but she hadn't returned home, and they felt that something was wrong. Which makes sense.
Well, right. I mean, if you didn't think something was wrong, you wouldn't report her to the police. Just saying.
Certainly that.
The next morning, the police get a call from a local fisherman who found the body of a young woman floating in the Kihei Lagoon. The young woman was naked from the waist down and had ligature marks around her neck.
Oh.
Oh no.
Her hands were bound behind her back, and there was an electrical cord tied to one of her ankles, and that electrical cord was tied to the rocks along the shore.
So he like anchored her to the rocks in the lagoon.
Yes. Regina's family was contacted about the discovery, and her mother was brought in to possibly identify the body. But as soon as Regina's mother saw the body, she knew that it was her daughter. An autopsy confirmed that she died from strangulation and she was sexually assaulted.
Ugh.
And it's actually impressive that they got that information based on the fact that she was in the water. Like
That's true.
yeah.
I know it could have gotten rid of a lot real quick.
Yeah.
When investigators interviewed Regina's friends and family, they were able to put together a timeline of the morning when she was last seen. Regina had left home for school around her usual time, but she had called her boyfriend and said that she'd be late because she missed her bus. Investigators were able to confirm that she did make that call from a payphone near her bus stop.
Okay.
Now, I pause intentionally because, a payphone is an old relic, and, not everybody may know what that is. Or we can just pause for dramatic effect right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think too many listeners don't know what a payphone is, but
I know what a payphone is. I'm a good audience stand-in for the youths.
yeah, like
They're in too many movies.
they are in too many movies. Yeah, but I mean, you're right. He's
But
not
you're
wrong.
right.
Yeah, they're a relic now. I don't remember the last time I saw a payphone in public.
Yeah,
A
I don't even think
functional
they're in
payphone.
airports anymore.
Which is funny because there's a case I'm looking into that takes place where a guy was hiding at a phone booth in an airport waiting for someone to walk past him.
Not the
Oh,
phone
God.
booth murderer.
What? No, no. And when I get there, you're gonna fucking love it. I'm telling you right now. It's an awesome moment. But that's all I'm gonna say because I gotta finish my research on it.
All right, no spoilies.
All right. Anyway, sorry, Jameson.
It's okay. It's all right. We love our little tangents. So Regina never made it to school, which was out of the norm for her. In the 80s, however, they didn't have in place the, protective services and, systems that we have today that let parents know that your kid didn't make it to school.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before. When I was in high school, you would get an automated call around dinner time. So if you, as the kid that skipped school, were on the phone, say, and the call came in, your parents never knew you missed school.
Wow, I see. I can imagine you used that.
Oh, are you kidding me? And I used to tell girls I was dating that like their parents wouldn't let them be on the phone late at night at like 10:58 p.m. or something to go on and place a call to some looped recording thing, and then I would call and they could switch over via call waiting. And and their parents would
Wow.
have so the phone would never ring, their parents wouldn't wake up kind of thing. Yeah.
Genius. You're too
That's
smart
awesome.
for your own good.
Yeah, I really was. It was also a really bad influence on my girlfriends.
Yeah,
Figure.
believe that.
Says like the daughter of one of my best friends.
Yeah, you were a good influence on me, but I was a child, so I think
Right.
you.
But I was also much older when you were a kid and I was an influence on you.
This is true.
Yeah, there's a big difference between me influencing my peers and me influencing my friends' children. Whole different ballgame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I understand I needed the influence with how nerdy my parents are. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. I love you, but you're a nerd too.
Yes, she is.
Because they didn't have those systems in place, no one was aware that she hadn't gone in. So her parents really didn't start to really worry until later on that night. As investigators looked into Regina's life, there wasn't anyone that anyone could think of that would want her dead, and investigators came to the conclusion that it was probably done by a stranger.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
The crazy part was Regina might not have been the first victim of this person, because as they're processing Regina's crime scene, they get a case of deja vu, because this isn't the first young lady who has been found murdered at the Kihei Lagoon around that time. This is the case of the Honolulu Strangler.
Okay, so you're doing a serial killer.
Oh shit.
All right. Awesome. I'm loving it.
About 7 months before Gina was found, Honolulu PD had received a similar call that was from a guy on his way to work, and he stumbled upon a woman's body at the water's edge. Like Regina, this woman had been strangled with a ligature, and her hands were bound behind her back. Within a day, they were able to ID the woman as 25-year-old Vicky Gale Purdy. It appeared as though her body had been pushed down the embankment and just left there.
That sucks.
Awful.
While there were some obvious similarities, there were also drastic differences. Vicky was older, she was married to an army pilot, and she wasn't walking to a bus stop when she went missing.
Okay.
According to her husband, Gary, she had been out with her friends the night of May 29th, 1985, like she had done so many times before. So we're taking a little step back here. When she didn't return home, and her husband tried to page her several times, each time the pages went without a response. The next morning, he reported her missing and hit the streets to go look for her. Unfortunately, he found her car in a hotel parking lot, but unfortunately, there was no Vicky.
That's awful because you probably find it at first and you're like, oh my God, did she cheat on me?
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
The amount of things that must have gone through his head.
Because at this point, right, you don't know that something happened to her. I'd have been banging on every door in that hotel looking for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And like someone's getting their ass kicked.
So it seemed to have been abandoned there, and there seemed to have been a new mysterious dent in the car.
That's not a good sign.
No, not at all.
Definitely not.
They checked in with a motel, and the motel people had no sign of seeing her, and there was no record of her spending any kind of time there at all.
Okay, weird.
However, police were able to track down a cab driver who said that he had dropped her off at that car in the parking lot at around midnight.
And what was she supposed to be doing again? Like out with friends?
Out with her friends?
She was out with the girls, yeah.
Okay. Why leave your... I mean, I guess that's a meeting spot, but why wouldn't everybody bring you back to your car themselves? That just sounds so fucked up to me.
I don't know, maybe they were all drunk too.
Maybe.
Around the same time that Gary found her car, police got a report of a woman's body in the Key High Lagoon. And unfortunately, it was Vicky.
Oh.
I don't understand serial killers who dump their bodies in the same location. It's like you're asking to get caught. You know, it's like one thing.
Yeah.
It's one thing if like someone discovers an area and there's like 8 bodies in there because the person never got caught. But to have one body found and then dump a second body there to be found, now you're asking for it. That's all I'm saying. It's weird.
No,
We know about MOs.
Now, just to recap, just so we're all on the same page here, Regina and Vicky were both found strangled, and they were both bound with their hands behind their back. So those are the big, running similarities between who's been found so far.
Right.
Investigators learned that the way their hands were bound was exactly the same. So both were in the same position and were bound the same way, everything like that. They were bound with paracord.
Okay.
Now, if anybody doesn't know what paracord is, it's usually used in parachutes, and that's what was used to bound their hands. Now, that detail was never made known to the public.
Okay, smart.
Interesting.
And as we've seen in several cases, there's a reason for that madness, and that was that investigators, if somebody came in and confessed to that, they would know that they're the killer because nobody else knows that piece of information besides the investigators.
Right.
And it discourages copycats.
Now, at this point, the police are saying that they're probably not connected, the two cases, because of the differences, and that there was nothing really concrete to tie the two victims together. Then, on February 1st in 1986, investigators were called to the scene of a third woman's body who was also found at the Key High Lagoon. Except this time, the body was found wrapped in a tarp, but some of the similarities from the other cases also presented themselves.
Yeah, starting to sound like a pattern for sure.
Yeah, and even though there are differences, I mean, that just because a serial killer is killing the same type of person in the same type of way doesn't mean they'll always be exactly the same. So,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah.
At this point, they finally began to think, there was similarities, and they began to think that they had a serial killer on their hands. And they formed an official task force. And by February 5th, that was put together. And on that same day, they identified another victim, their most recent victim, which was 21-year-old Denise Hughes. They learned that Denise was married to a sailor stationed at Pearl Harbor named Charles, and she had been missing since January 30th, 2 weeks after Regina's murder.
Interesting. That's I as a cop, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I couldn't imagine being the ones investigating this.
Yeah, just the idea that you're just waiting for them to strike again while you're trying to catch them, and really with no information, that's all you can do. That sucks.
Which is the most frustrating thing. When you don't have anything, you just kind of have to wait for more victims, as sick as that sounds.
Right.
Yeah, that's got to be maddening knowing people are going to get hurt.
Yep. That sucks.
So the night before Denise disappeared, she had met up with her husband for dinner on the ship that he was on, and then left to return home at around 10 p.m. Her husband told investigators that he had called Denise on their home phone, and she said she had returned home safely. However, the next day, Charles got a call from Denise's boss asking him why Denise didn't show up for work.
Ugh, that would suck.
Yeah. Oh, God. So, just like the other two victims, Denise vanished into thin air. And then her body was found in the same lagoon, left in a similar way.
Ugh,
See, I'm
so
surprised.
many.
I'm sorry. After the second one, I'd have left people hanging out, like like hiding out at the lagoon.
Yeah, some lagoon
Yeah,
patrol.
yeah,
Those lagoons can be
I'm
big, right?
Yeah, but still, like anything would help, because like someone dragging a body and setting it up out there, that's a thing. Like that would take a little bit of time. It's not like he's just dumping them. He's like mooring them to rocks.
Yeah, that's true. Not
Yeah.
not just a quick little activity.
yeah, I'm honestly surprised they didn't go through more to get that going.
Unless they just don't give a shit. That's the other side of it. There's like,
Always an option.
yeah, because we have shitty cops out in the world.
What?
Yeah. I know it's hard to believe. You know,
I can't believe it.
that one case we covered where the guy wanted to kill a lot of cops and ended up only killing one. But like, there are people out there.
So, Honolulu Police Major Chester Hughes then issued a public warning advising local women to be cautious and never to accept rides from strangers, which,
Great advice,
makes perfect
bestie.
sense.
I was going to
Yep.
say, yeah, the advice you give children might still apply as an adult.
Crazy thing that is.
2 months later, on April 2nd, 1986, it happened again. And this time it was 25-year-old Louise Meridos, and her body wasn't found in the Kihei Lagoon, but 12 miles away. However, she was still near a body of water.
Yeah, so this guy knew he was going to get caught if he kept doing it.
She was found by the Waikele stream, which ran under a freeway overpass. And as far as investigators could tell, it looks like her body was dumped from the overpass and plummeted 95 feet to the area below.
Ugh.
So it might not be the same person, or
Yeah, if it's not moored down, yeah.
yeah, or he just had to get rid of it faster, and it was more
Mhm.
of a desperate get it out of my car thing.
She was partially nude. Her hands were bound behind her back with,
Paracord.
there you go.
Hmm.
All of these dump sites were around the Honolulu airport.
Oh,
So everything was in a centralized area.
Okay, interesting.
now my thing is, wouldn't it be funny? I don't know how often people go to Hawaii and leave, but it'd be funny if it wasn't someone who lived there. It was just someone who came in, did some
Oh, God.
business, killed somebody, and then left. But that seems like,
Yeah.
but that's so far away that you couldn't possibly go out there multiple times a year like that, or within the same month like that. So probably not.
Unless you're rich, but I don't think many of these serial killers we talk about are often like really rich.
The only ones I can think of are the children of rich people.
Right.
Right.
There you go. So investigators figured out that Louise hadn't been seen since March 26th, when she had taken a night flight back from Oahu after a family visit.
Okay.
The murders were not a secret on the island, and her sisters had pleaded with her to stay just one more night
Uh,
so that she wouldn't have to wait in the dark. They wanted her to stay safe. They didn't want her to go out there. They had all been warned.
right. And you don't
Yeah.
want to, yeah, like arriving anywhere after dark and waiting for a ride, not a good idea, regardless.
Now, the kicker also was Louise was 3 months pregnant.
Oh no.
So this is 2 deaths.
Yeah. Louise, however, was anxious and she wanted to get home to the other kids that she had left that night.
Oh no.
We know that she was waiting for a bus because investigators found witnesses that said they had seen her near a bus stop near the airport that very night. Then, just under a month after Louise's body was found, another woman vanishes. This time, it was 36-year-old Linda Pass.
Jesus.
This is starting to be a lot.
This is what, at least 5 now, right? Not counting
Yes.
the baby. Yeah.
Yep. Even though they had not located her body or her remains, they did locate her Toyota that was abandoned on the Nimitz Highway on April 30th. And, they obviously saw a lot of red flags.
I thought you were going to tell us it was at another hotel. I was going to be like, what the fuck?
Now, whoever was doing the killing, their cool down time was starting to shorten real quick. These were happening in quick proximity here.
All right. So there goes my theory about a person on business doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Now, as far as Linda's case goes, there was some messiness in the search for her. You see, Linda's roommate had reported her missing the same night her car was found.
All right. That's suspicious.
It took investigators a whole day to make the connection between the missing car and the missing woman.
Oh, I thought you meant he didn't report her missing until after her car was found. Kind of like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
fuck. And then, you know what I mean? Like to cover his ass. Okay. My bad.
After initially impounding the car, the next day they brought the car back to where it was abandoned.
What? They find her body in the trunk of the car. I'm going to be pissed.
Oh my god, that'd be awful.
Right?
Now, this seems, when I read this, it seemed like an abuse of power, but maybe just because I'm not in that situation, I don't know. But when I read this, I kind of shook my fist at it. They did this so they could stop hundreds of passing drivers to ask if they had seen the car or its driver the night that Linda went missing.
What? On the highway? They literally, they set up like almost like a sobriety checkpoint.
Yeah, like a
To
roadblock.
ask,
Yep.
be like, hey, did you see this car and the missing person? That's fucked up.
That's
Isn't it?
so weird.
Isn't
And
that awful?
yeah, why are you doing that? I hate that.
Yeah.
Now, even though they caused such a stink, amazingly, their efforts paid off as multiple witnesses confirmed that they had seen Linda's car on the side of that highway that night with its flashers on.
Okay, but that would be my assumption regardless, because if it's on the side of the highway, how else are you getting stopped and taken out of your car? Unless the person's pretending to be a
Right.
cop. Like, so that would have been my assumption. So I'm glad they figured that out, but that sounded like a lot of extra work.
Right. I guess maybe to get a timeline. Who knows?
Maybe. Bizarre.
Very bizarre.
If it helps them catch the guy, well worth it. But if it doesn't, then I don't think it was worth it because it was pretty obvious in my head. But that's,
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree. Now, Major Hughes says that it was likely that Linda's car had an issue and she had grabbed her keys in her purse and started walking either towards the nearest gas station or the nearest bus stop.
okay.
Logically makes sense.
Yeah.
They thought they were looking for a charming guy, that could smooth talk his way through anything and, convince these girls that, it's okay, you're safe with me. I'll get you to where you need to go.
Right. I mean, But in that situation, you don't really have to be super charming to be like, hey, you're in desperate need. I'll help you.
Right.
Right.
So Linda's case gave police three major breaks that pointed them in some pretty good directions.
Okay.
Now, the first break they got was with the roadblocks from the highway. Multiple witnesses stated that they saw what was described as a light colored cargo van parked near Linda's car.
Does it say
Investigators.
free candy on it?
Well, it's something, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, all right.
So investigators put out a sketch of the suspect's van. The FBI put out a profile from their behavioral science unit saying that they were looking for a white male, late 30s to early 40s, possibly no criminal record, maybe having relationship problems, is familiar with the area, and possibly works nearby.
Pretty vague,
Now,
but
yeah, no, I know. It's not much to go on. Now, strangely, the second break comes from a psychic.
That's
Kind-
fun.
Well, kind of.
not very
kind of,
reliable.
No, but it is fun.
like what was the movie with Tom Hanks and the little Big, right? They're getting advice from one of
Yes.
those machines. Like fortune cookies, they're just opening them up. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
On May 2nd, investigators got a tip from a guy named Howard Gay saying that he had discovered bones on Sand Island near Kihei Lagoon, and he had been told by a psychic that Linda's body was there.
Whoa.
So they didn't get the call from the psychic. They got a call from a guy who said he was told by a
Yeah.
psychic that the okay.
Yeah, so it was kind of, psychic related, but not completely. But at this point, investigators were desperate. They'll follow anything and try to get as much information as they can.
Right, I get it, but they should go in with a heavy amount of skepticism.
I completely agree. So they sent Howard and a team of agents straight to where the pile of bones, he said were. And they were there, but unfortunately, to everybody's disappointment, they were a pile of pig bones.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
I thought you were gonna say they found like another body. Pig bones. I mean, I guess it is Hawaii, right? Like they are out there.
Now, investigators decided to look around Sand Island a little bit more to see if they could find anything else. And, Howard stuck around to see if he could help, but they didn't find anything of use until the next day when they got a call from someone on Sand Island saying that they could directly lead them to Linda's body.
What? That's so bizarre. Like, so first off, Howard's there. He wants to help, and yet doesn't help. And then the next day they get a call from yet another person.
Yep. Isn't this insane?
I think Howard and this other person are the killers. I'm just saying.
That's a good theory.
Suspicious and weird.
Well, here's a little detail that just goes to show that, they didn't look as hard as they could have, because her body was found literally 75 to 100 yards from where those pig bones were found.
Now,
oh shit!
Was her body brought in after the fact? Maybe. That's weird.
Yeah, I didn't think about that possibility.
Like, hey, I know what here's how we'll give ourselves an alibi. I'll lead the cops there and do a search and find nothing, and then the next day you dump the body there. Anyway, weird.
Weird, yeah.
All right, so we're back to our old pattern here. She was found naked. Her arms were bound behind her back, and she was tied with
paracord.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, oddly enough, investigators realized that Howard had steered clear of the area where her body was, or her bones were eventually found, the previous day.
Mm-hmm.
Sus.
Yep.
Now, during this time period, they were searching any location that associated with Linda, including her office.
Okay.
Linda was in
smart.
sales, and the past January, she had started targeting the area around the airport.
To sell. Okay.
Yep, she wanted to find clients in that area. It was Linda's office that gave investigators their last big break. They found a notepad in Linda's office, and they found a name and a number. And that name and number was for Howard Gay.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this guy's involved.
It seemed in
Oh,
the
for
very
sure.
recent past, Linda had tried to sell Howard a pager.
Right, it's the 80s, right?
Pardon
Now-
me, sir. Would you like to buy this pager?
I mean, just imagine like if we had door-to-door cell phone sellers, you know what I mean? That's what this makes me think of.
So strange.
It was the 80s.
You know, the 80s. What a time.
Although it's smart if you think about it, going to local businesses and being like, "Hey, do you guys have pagers? I have some pagers," you know, and it could sort of make
You know,
sense.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like she's going door to door to their homes. She went to his businesses, if I'm hearing you correctly. So,
Right. Very
Correct.
reasonable.
yeah.
Now, let's talk about Howard Gay for a minute. Howard Andrew Gay was born January 1st, 1943, in Buffalo, New York, and eventually moved to Apple Valley, California, where he was stationed at the Georgia Air Force Base.
All right. So another military person. It's funny how we see that pattern a lot here.
Very interesting.
He was honorably discharged in 1965, went to college, worked for a telephone company in California, worked at the LA airport, and worked in Tennessee for FedEx.
Okay.
So he was all over the place.
I was gonna say
And
he gets
also
around
traveled
and yeah, he gets around and does a lot of different type of things.
When he was just 25, him and his wife Rita had a child named Jason and would later have a second son named Justin.
Okay.
Not very creative naming, are they?
And it's like us. 2 J's, we're 3 J's. They're just, I'm sorry.
True.
He was trained in aircraft mechanics and then moved to Hawaii, where he would put that training to good use in air freight mechanics.
All right. You know what? That's kind of a cool shift, you know. I wouldn't mind moving
Yeah.
to Hawaii to do a job like that, is all I'm saying.
Well, as we know, none of these killers or suspects or people that we talk about on here are stellar people, and Howard was not an exception. He was arrested numerous times for assaults and rapes, and
Jesus.
and on one occasion he beat a woman because she refused to get in his car.
See,
Oh, great.
I'm so I don't I don't know what bothers me more, the fact that we're always talking about repeat offenders when it comes to rape, or the fact that they keep letting them out.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
So fucking frustrating.
At the time of the Strangler investigations, he worked for a company located right near the airport called the Flying Tiger Cargo, who gave him access to a company vehicle, more specifically,
A white cargo van. Yeah.
Of course.
Investigators quickly put Howard under surveillance. Now, the medical examiner had been able to obtain semen samples from some of the victims, and immediately what stood out to him was how few sperm were in some of these samples.
Okay.
Now they're like, wow, you fucking loser. You got no sperm. No sperm count.
Except that this guy has 2 kids, so you know
In
what I
some
mean?
of the samples, there were few, and in at least one, there was absolutely none. So right away,
Oh,
they were thinking
Vasectomy.
yeah. I was just
someone
thinking
who
that.
has sexual incompetence or somebody who had a vasectomy.
Yeah, I realized that after I said he had kids.
Now, Howard Gay had had a vasectomy, and that was later confirmed by his wife.
Yeah.
Howard and his wife had lived in California with their 2 sons until 1980, when he was transferred to Hawaii. At that time, they were still married, and Howard moved to Hawaii, and the kids and his wife stayed behind in California, which apparently was not uncommon at that time if you were in the military or if you did contracting work for the military.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that different. Like it still happens today. In fact, a friend of mine, her boyfriend he was an aviation mechanic in the military or whatever company he worked for, sent him to the Virgin Islands for a very similar situation. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, again, I wouldn't mind being able to do something like that. It sounds like fun.
Yeah, not a terrible deal.
No.
So Howard's wife decides to take the boys to Hawaii to surprise Howard. Seems like a great idea, right?
Walks in on him
Well,
killing a woman.
Howard is pissed. He does not want them there, and he makes them stay in a hotel. He won't even show them the house that he's staying in. He's just being very cold and very distant.
Probably because there was a. I
Divorce.
was gonna say probably because there was a body in his house.
Probably.
Yeah,
And 2 days later, he forced them to go home.
of course he did. And she should have divorced him. 110%.
Both his wife and some ex-girlfriends described Howard as a smooth talker who liked to have sex with women with their hands bound behind their back.
Oh.
Yeah. On its own, that's not that bad, but mixed in with what we know, that's not good.
Well, yeah, no, that's why I made a point of saying it that way. Is
Right.
there's that connection.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This guy.
Investigators even found out from the girlfriend that he was with at the time of the killings that Howard would often storm out during arguments when they fought. And some of those arguments coincided with times when the killings happened.
It's so.
So-
Oh, so he has this girlfriend on the side.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yep.
she's like, "Hey, we got in a fight the night he killed somebody," or we got into a fight the night someone was killed.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, like, shout out to these people for like recording when they get in fights.
You know what? You're right. That's a little weird. I couldn't tell you what nights my wife and I have had fights. So
I guess only if it was like after something specific, like something happened, there was an event,
right. No,
Right.
and then we
can-
got in a fight.
Right.
You know?
we fought on my birthday, or it was the first day we moved into the place. Yeah, I gotcha.
There's also the fact that eyewitnesses actually identified him from a lineup as the guy that, was seen with Linda the night that Linda went missing. The witness was so scared, though, when she saw everything happen, that it took her 2 months to come forward.
I guess. I mean, if the police haven't caught the guy, I can see where you'd be afraid of coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
Police finally arrest him at this point, but when they took the case to the prosecutors, and wanted to seek an indictment and wanted to get this thing rolling, the prosecutors declined the case.
Okay, let me guess. I'm going to assume it's all
So-
circumstantial evidence.
They felt that they could get an indictment, but that they didn't have enough evidence to have a case beyond reasonable doubt.
Okay. It's kind of smart
Okay.
of them. As frustrating as it is, it's smart.
Right. Don't take a case you can't win,
Right.
I guess. When you're not like a public defender or anything.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Now, Linda's case was the strongest, but for whatever reason, the prosecutors wanted to try all these cases all at the same time. Police brought Howard into the Criminal Investigation Division at the Honolulu PD to question him, and he was held for 10 hours.
Annoying, but okay.
Yeah. So during these 10 hours, investigators were just even more convinced of his guilt. Major Luis Souza, one of the lead investigators on the task force, watched behind the mirrored glass. They said that his body language absolutely screamed guilt. There was zero eye contact, arms were crossed, and he was super defensive. Surprisingly, Howard agreed to a polygraph. And, not surprisingly, he didn't pass.
Right. For all the good those do. Right.
Right, right, for how
we
helpful
know how
they
much
are.
those mean. Now, investigators get consent to search his house, his van, and his workplace, but they don't find anything. However, the major felt that investigators were right on the cusp of a confession. They felt like they were getting somewhere. But unfortunately, they were forced to end their interrogation.
Well, 10 hours is a long time, but sure.
It's true.
At that point, you have to worry about false confessions.
Well, here's what has happened. After 7 to 8 hours, they gave Howard a break from questioning because they didn't want it perceived as a forced confession.
Okay.
So they sent
Wow.
him back to his cell to rest for a while. Unfortunately, during that time, Howard gets a call from an attorney who wants to talk to Howard. I don't know the whole specifics of everything, but that right there should just red flag right immediately in my head.
Yeah,
But
if
there,
he didn't ask for an attorney, but an attorney's calling him, I'm not even. Are they legally obligated to put him on the phone with them? It's a,
I
It's
don't
bizarre.
think so.
it's a weird one. That sounds like some Better Call Saul shit.
Yeah.
The young recruits and the young officers decide to let him take the call. The attorney called and requested to speak with him at his girlfriend's request.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well that's reasonable.
All right, that's
And
a
she
different thing.
instructed him, yeah. No, so she's doing all the heavy lifting here.
She's like, honey, please, please get your shit together.
She's like, just shut your mouth and take this guy's call.
Oh my God.
Which is basically summing up what I was just about to say.
Right. Dating men is like having a child sometimes. It's
I wouldn't know.
consider yourself blessed.
Says I with a room full of board games.
Yeah.
Really? We're like children? I had no idea.
I can't believe that.
No way.
Chicken nuggets and chocolate milk.
What? For the record,
That's honestly my diet too. I am like a child. Dating me is like dating a child. This is also true.
gosh, I remember the last time I had chocolate milk. That line threw me for a little bit.
Oh, I love a chocolate protein shake, and it's basically chocolate milk.
I was gonna say that, but there's a difference, but because
Not in my heart. I trick myself.
I was gonna say I've had milkshakes, but I haven't had chocolate milk.
Okay, well,
So,
we're
exactly. There's a difference. One didn't add ice cream.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
So, as you had promptly figured out before I was able to say it, his girlfriend instructed him not to answer any more questions, which created a very, very big problem for the investigators and the prosecutor.
Yeah, you think?
I'm sure did.
Now, with him keeping quiet, he needed to be charged with something or they needed to release him. And because the prosecutors weren't going to charge him with anything, he was released.
Would you look at that?
Wonderful.
And so, just like that, the investigation started to fall apart. Within a few months, the task force was decreased, and within a month later, it was disbanded.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see that. I mean, it's just like, just a kick in the stomach.
And I get the investigator's point. Like, we don't want this to be questioned. We want him to confess, blah, blah, blah. But, man, the timing of that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Investigators weren't going to simply let Howard loose in the community, and they kept him under surveillance, however. So wherever he went, the HPD followed.
I'm going to assume bodies stopped showing up in lagoons at this point as well.
That sounds like a fair guess to me.
Yeah.
Now, when Howard moved out of state permanently, the HPD notified the place where he moved so that they also could keep tabs on him.
Responsible.
We love some police working together.
Yeah, that's a responsible move. Yeah.
Especially in this time period.
Yeah, that's true too.
They were not very good at coordinating across state lines in our experiences.
Very, very true.
As far as anyone can tell, there were no suspected victims in any of the new cities that he traveled around to, and there were quite a few. He had made his way to the East Coast, he visited Europe, and eventually landed somewhere in the Midwest by 2002.
Wow.
Major Souza said that they kept an eye on him because everyone involved in the case, including the prosecutors that wouldn't do anything about it, just knew that he was their guy.
And again, if there are no more bodies in lagoons, that's a strong indication.
Yeah.
Now, there were theories on why he stopped. That is, assuming that he stopped, and assuming that he was, in fact, the killer in the first place. One of those theories is in 1986, soon after the last murder, Howard's son had pulled over to the side of the road to help a distressed motorist.
Okay.
While the son was helping, an oncoming vehicle came and crashed into the son and killed him.
Oh, shit.
So either the son was the killer or having his son die that way made him stop killing? Is that the theory?
So the theory is, or that theory is, that's a sign from the universe that Howard needs to stop.
Okay. Not sure that's how
All
those
right.
type of compulsions work, but sure.
People are weird.
Yeah.
Now, Howard Gay died of kidney failure at the age of 60 while living in Inglewood, California.
Okay.
He does have a surviving son, so there is a chance that this case can be solved or Howard's name can be cleared.
Oh yeah, through familial DNA.
Now, I don't know why they haven't done DNA tests because they have the semen samples.
Assuming they still have the semen samples.
That's true.
There is also a far-fetched theory that Henry Gay could have been the Zodiac killer.
And
What?
I love how many people they can say might have been the Zodiac. I love that one.
When we all know it's Ted Cruz.
That would be amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I would be like, I would applaud. I would be like, you know what? Yeah. Anyway.
That would be the best case of all time.
Yeah, it would be like I think I would just be like, you know what? We're shutting this whole thing down. You can never beat this. Like,
No, you truly can't.
that would be crazy.
Now, there's also a theory that the Honolulu Strangler might actually be Terry Rasmussen, the chameleon killer,
Yeah,
the one that left the bodies in the barrels in New Hampshire, the one that we covered.
Oh shit.
yeah, I not once you said that name, I was like, oh yeah, he could have been that person too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, regardless, the case is unsolved,
Of course it is. Officially.
even though everyone is almost certain that Howard Gay was the one responsible.
I think the
And
biggest indicator of that is being like, hey, this psychic told me there was a body here, and then you don't find a body until the next day. That's so stupid.
It's very sus.
Yeah.
and that is the case of the Honolulu Strangler.
God, can you imagine being a cop on that? I'd have been like,
No, absolutely not.
if I had hair, I'd have pulled it all out.
Yeah, maddening.
That's crazy. What the fuck? But I mean, I'm sure there
You
aren't.
love hitting us with the unsolved cases,
Right.
Jameson, as always.
I remember you saying like years ago, you were like, I just love discussing the possibilities. And for me, they're just frustrating as fuck. But at least that one, we pretty much know who did it. It's not like the Burger Chef murder one where
We're like, legit, what the fuck? Who did this?
yeah, that's a crazy. I hate cases like that because that just pisses me off.
Yeah.
But all right. Yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us this week. Once again, I am Janice Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye!